Hey, Sharon and Hank here. Hank's walking over.
Hey everybody.
As promised, I've looked through all of the resumes. There were quite a few, and I narrowed it down, and then I got Hank's help to make sure that I was on the right track and to make sure he agreed, and he did.
Yeah, we were really close.
Yeah,
On
we
the
had
top,
a little bit of prioritization differences, but basically it's the same.
On the top 4 or 5, we were like right there. I would still like to see us put an ad in with WACE, Western Association of Chamber Execs, because you'll get more of the target market that you really want. Because out of how many were there total?
63.
Yeah, 63.
Well, 64 including Felicia.
Yeah, so out of the total that you've gotten, we don't think there's enough yet to do what we're going to explain right now. So let's explain it and then we'll go through it. So once we have the people we're going to interview in one day.
So I'm going to send you that. With this video, you'll find the list of the ones we narrowed it down to. And then the very next step after that is let me know that you agree, and then I will phone interview those once we have the date to do this.
So this, I designed this years ago for the Encino Chamber because we had just like your chamber, we had a really active board, meaning everybody wanted input.
Hands-on.
And which is great. So this works for you guys. It wouldn't work for every chamber, but for you it does. So this way it allows a lot of people to interview each person and get their input in it. So here's how it works. On one day, one day at one hotel, we have 3 different rooms reserved. And meeting rooms. And one room is going to be talking about meetings, membership. One room talks about operations and the other talks about events. Now, I just sketched out some names, probably in membership, Mike Marcinko, and I would guess Alexandra should be in there as well.
Probably Tony.
Yeah, absolutely Tony, because it's your own business. Under operations, obviously Fred, because you've been doing it. Jose, because you've had your hand on the pulse of the money forever. I put Sarah there and you in there, but this doesn't matter as much.
Right.
In events, that's kind of easy. Joseph, Amy, Carrick, Michael Cossey, I mean, that's...
Right, that's where Amy should go. You're right.
That's a really simple process. So here's what happens. You each get about 20 to 30 minutes. Your call, decide if it's 20 or 30. I would say 30.
30.
And for each person that comes, they come in at a certain time. I'm going to say, hi, how you doing? Their interview starts there because I want to get the impression. I just let them know I'm one of the volunteers. I volunteered to help that day to make sure everybody gets checked in all right. But I start asking them a few questions to see how they act toward the help. They then go in, they talk to meetings for 30 minutes. Now, as this person goes to operations for their next interview, the next person should be arriving and they go in. So you're going through a cycle of however many, let's say 8 or 10.
Whatever.
10 people takes about 5 hours, so we'll figure that part out later. But again, we can do this in one day.
Right.
After they're done with events, there's another person that they're going to check out with. This serves 2 purposes. One, if you guys think, oh my God, she's the one we want, let's offer it to her now. You go out and you talk to the person doing checkout and say, okay, hold this person. Otherwise, this person is saying, thank you so much for being here. What questions did you have about the process? How else can we be of service to you? So they're not just leaving. It gives them a positive through it and bookend in and out.
Yeah.
So that's how the process works.
This person is also great if we say, oh, you know what, we should have asked that person X. So we can go, you know what, hold them, we have another question. So it may not be they're the ideal. It may be, we were left with a question we didn't ask and we should have asked. Yeah. So it gives them another chance to wait, hold on, and come back.
Actually, it would be cool. This would probably be a great spot for Tony, as I think about it, because he would be, just that personality works perfectly. So that's the process.
So the best is if we can figure out what date this happens.
Yeah.
My first suggestion, given our schedule, would be Friday the 24th.
Of what month?
Of this month.
May?
I think they wanted it done before the end of the month. So
Okay.
that's the Friday before Memorial Day. So there's pros and cons, right? One thing is that's usually a short day for folks. So they don't feel like they're missing out on a whole day for the board members as well as the applicants. On the other hand, it's often a half day for folks because they're leaving town. So there's pros and cons.
Now, here's another downside to it. A couple of the best people, like 3 of the 5 best people, are not from around here. So they would have to make arrangements to get here, and that might not be enough time, so it may...
It might. So we could do the following Friday, which is the 31st of May. It doesn't solve your issue by the end of the month, but it at least moves us pretty darn close anyway by the end of the month. So the reason to have this date set up before I do the phone interviews is so I can, while I'm doing the phone interview, assuming that they pass the phone interview, right? Like if they're awful on the phone, they're not going to pass forward. So assuming that they're going to be awesome, I can say, great, this was great. I would like to offer you a position to interview. We're interviewing on this date, this time. Does that work for you? Rather than having to say, okay, well, we'll call you back to schedule the in-person. It just makes it a little more complicated. This makes it all done in one time. Let's get it done. Let's get it out there.
And that way you get a lot of board members who had a hand in the interviewing, and it's only one day out of your process. Of course, now, after you're done with this, then we all meet in one place and talk about, okay, here were our 2 or 3 favorites. Let's come to some agreement on it. You'll be amazed that 1 or 2 will definitely stand out.
Yeah.
It will not be 4 or 5. It'll be 1 or 2 that you're going to have to make a decision from. It's been the case every time. They always rise to the top really simply.
Absolutely.
So again.
Oh, and in the timing of this day, we need to add in at the beginning, I don't know, 15, 30 minutes. So for those of you that have never interviewed, and I think that's most of you, I want to give you some pointers on interviewing tips, and I will have the resumes and the cheat sheet, because there's no writing on the resumes. So there's going to be a cheat sheet. No, and I'll explain why and all of that.
Yeah.
So we're going to need like 15 to 30 minutes before we start interviewing just to get everyone on the same page before we break up into the other rooms.
Questions you can't ask them. Anyway.
Well, and why not to write
All
a
right,
resume?
so I'm going to go turn this off. Say goodbye, everybody.
Bye, everybody. Thank you. I look forward to helping you. We look forward to helping you with this process.